Chapter 6 of A Passage to India by E.M. Forster. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 6. Aziz had not gone to the bridge party. Immediately after his meeting with Mrs. Moore, he was diverted to other matters. Several surgical cases came in and kept him busy. He ceased to be either outcast or poet, and became the medical student, very gay and full of details of operations which he poured into the shrinking ears of his friends. His profession fascinated him at times, but he required it to be exciting, and it was his hand, not his mind, that was scientific. The knife he loved, and used skillfully, and he also liked pumping in the latest serums. But the boredom of regime and hygiene repelled him, and after inoculating a man for enteric, he would go away and drink unfiltered water himself. "What can you expect from the fellow?" said dour Major Calendar. "No grits, no guts." But in his heart he knew that if Aziz, and not he, had operated last year on Mrs. Grayford's appendix, the old lady would probably have lived, and this did not dispose him any better towards his subordinate. There was a row the morning after the mosque. They were always having rows. The Major, who had been up half the night, wanted damn well to know why Aziz had not come promptly when summoned. "Sir, excuse me, I did. I mounted my bike, and it bust in front of the cow hospital, so I had to find a tonga." "Bust in front of the cow hospital, did it? And how did you come to be there?" "I beg your pardon?" Oh, Lord, when I live here," he kicked the gravel, "and you live there, not 10 minutes from me, and the cow hospital is right ever so far away, the other side of you, there, then how did you come to be passing the cow hospital on the way to me? Now do some work for a change." He strode away in a temper, without waiting for the excuse, which, as far as it went, was a sound one. The cow hospital was in a straight line between Hamidullah's house and his own, so Aziz had naturally passed it. He never realized that the educated Indians visited one another constantly, and were weaving, however painfully, a new social fabric. Caste, or something of the sort, would prevent them. He only knew that no one ever told him the truth, although he had been in the country for 20 years. Aziz watched him go with amusement. When his spirits were up, he felt that the English are a comic institution, and he enjoyed being misunderstood by them. But it was an amusement of the emotions and nerves which an accident or the passage of time might destroy. It was apart from the fundamental gaiety that he reached when he was with those whom he trusted. A disobliging simile involving Mrs. Calendar occurred to his fancy. "I must tell that to Mahmud Ali. It'll make him laugh," he thought. Then he got to work. He was competent and indispensable, and he knew it. The simile passed from his mind while he exercised his professional skill. During these pleasant and busy days he heard vaguely that the collector was giving a party, and that the Nawab Bahadur said everyone ought to go to it. His fellow assistant, Dr. Pana Lal, was in ecstasies at the prospect, and was urgent that they should attend it together in his new tum-tum. The arrangement suited them both. Aziz was spared the indignity of a bicycle or the expense of hiring, while Dr. Panalal, who was timid and elderly, secured someone who could manage his horse. He could manage it himself, but only just, and he was afraid of the motors and of the unknown turn into the club grounds. "Disaster may come," he said politely, "but we shall at all events get there safe, even if we do not get back." And with more logic, "It will, I think, create a good impression should 2 doctors arrive at the same time." But when the time came, Aziz was seized with a revulsion and determined not to go. For one thing, his spell of work, lately concluded, left him independent and healthy. For another, the day chanced to fall on the anniversary of his wife's death. She had died soon after he had fallen in love with her. He had not loved her at first. Touched by Western feeling, he disliked union with a woman whom he had never seen. Moreover, when he did see her, she disappointed him, and he begat his first child in mere animality. The change began after its birth. He was won by her love for him, by a loyalty that implied something more than submission, and by her efforts to educate herself against the lifting of the purdah that would come in the next generation, if not in theirs. She was intelligent, yet had old-fashioned grace. Gradually he lost the feeling that his relatives had chosen wrongly for him. Sensuous enjoyment, well, even if he had had it, it would have dulled in a year, and he had gained something instead, which seemed to increase the longer they lived together. She became the mother of a son, and in giving him a second son, she died. Then he realized what he had lost, and that no woman could ever take her place. A friend would come nearer to her than another woman. She had gone. There was no one like her. And what is that uniqueness but love? He amused himself. He forgot her at times, but at other times he felt that she had sent all the beauty and joy of the world into paradise, and he meditated suicide. Would he meet her beyond the tomb? Is there such a meeting place? Though orthodox, he did not know. God's unity was indubitable and indubitably announced, but on all other points he wavered, like the average Christian. His belief in the life to come would pale to a hope, vanish, reappear, all in a single sentence or a dozen heartbeats, so that the corpuscles of his blood, rather than he, seemed to decide which opinion he should hold, and for how long. It was so with all his opinions. Nothing stayed, nothing passed that did not return. The circulation was ceaseless, and kept him young, and he mourned his wife the more sincerely because he mourned her seldom. It would have been simpler to tell Dr. Lal that he had changed his mind about the party, but until the last minute he did not know that he had changed it. Indeed, he didn't change it. It changed itself. Unconquerable aversion welled. Mrs. Callender, Mrs. Leslie. No, he couldn't stand them in his sorrow. They would guess it, for he dowered the British matron with strange insight, and would delight in torturing him. They would mock him to their husbands. When he should have been ready, he stood at the post office, writing a telegram to his children, and found on his return that Dr. Lal had called for him and gone on. Well, let him go on, as befitted the coarseness of his nature. For his own part, he would commune with the dead. And unlocking a drawer, he took out his wife's photograph. He gazed at it, and tears spouted from his eyes. He thought, "How unhappy I am." But because he really was unhappy, another emotion soon mingled with his self-pity, He desired to remember his wife and could not. Why could he remember people whom he did not love? They were always so vivid to him. Whereas, the more he looked at this photograph, the less he saw. She had eluded him thus ever since they had carried her to her tomb. He had known that she would pass from his hands and eyes, but had thought she could live in his mind, not realizing that the very fact that we have loved the dead increases their unreality, and that the more passionately we invoke them, the further they recede. A piece of brown cardboard and 3 children. That was all that was left of his wife. It was unbearable, and he thought again, how unhappy I am, and became happier. He had breathed, for an instant, the mortal air that surrounds Orientals and all men, and he drew back from it with a gasp, for he was young. Never, never shall I get over this, he told himself. Most certainly, my career is a failure, and my sons will be badly brought up. Since it was certain, he strove to avert it, and looked at some notes he had made on a case at the hospital. Perhaps, some day, a rich person might require this particular operation, and he gain a large sum. The notes interested him on their own account. He locked the photograph up again. Its moment was over, and he did not think about his wife any more. After tea his spirits improved, and he went round to see Hamidullah. Hamidullah had gone to the party, but his pony had not, so Aziz borrowed it, also his friend's riding breeches and polo mallet. He repaired to the Maidan. It was deserted, except at its rims, where some bazaar youths were training. Training for what? They would have found it hard to say, but the word had got into the air. Round they ran, weedy and knock-kneed. The local physique was wretched, with an expression on their faces not so much of determination as of a determination to be determined. "Maharaja Salam," he called for a joke. The youths stopped and laughed. He advised them not to exert themselves. They promised they would not, and ran on. Riding into the middle, he began to knock the ball about. He could not play, but his pony could, and he set himself to learn, free from all human tension. He forgot the whole damned business of living as he scurried over the brown platter of the Maidan, with the evening wind on his forehead and the encircling trees soothing his eyes. The ball shot away towards a stray subaltern who was also practising. He hit it back to Aziz and called, "Send it along again." "All right." The newcomer had some notion of what to do, but his horse had none, and forces were equal. Concentrated on the ball, they somehow became fond of one another, and smiled when they drew rein to rest. Aziz liked soldiers. They either accepted you or swore at you, which was preferable to the civilian's hauteur, and the subaltern liked anyone who could ride. "Often play?" he asked. "Never." "Let's have another chukker." As he hit, his horse bucked, and off he went, cried, "Oh, God!" and jumped on again. "Don't you ever fall off?" "Plenty." "Not you." They reined up again, the fire of good fellowship in their eyes. But it cooled with their bodies, for athletics can only raise a temporary glow. Nationality was returning, but before it could exert its poison they parted, saluting each other. If only they were all like that, each thought. Now it was sunset. A few of his co-religionists had come to the Maidan and were praying with their faces towards Mecca. A Brahmini bull walked towards them, and Aziz, though disinclined to pray himself, did not see why they should be bothered with the clumsy and idolatrous animal. He gave it a tap with his polo mallet. As he did so, a voice from the road hailed him. It was Dr. Pana Lal returning in high distress from the collector's party. Dr. Aziz, where you been? I waited 10 full minutes' time at your house, then I went. I am so awfully sorry. I was compelled to go to the post office. One of his own circle would have accepted this as meaning that he had changed his mind, an event too common to merit censure. But Dr. Lal, being of low extraction, was not sure whether an insult had not been intended, and he was further annoyed because Aziz had buffeted the Brahmini bull. Post office? Do you not send your servants? He said. I have so few. My scale is very small. Your servant spoke to me. I saw your servant. But, Dr. Lal, consider. How could I send my servant when you were coming? You come, we go. My house is left alone. My servant comes back, perhaps, and all my portable property has been carried away by bad characters in the meantime. Would you have that? The cook is deaf. I can never count on my cook. And the boy is only a little boy. Never, never do I and Hassan leave the house at the same time together. It is my fixed rule. He said all this and much more out of civility to save Dr. Lal's face. It was not offered as truth, and should not have been criticized as such. But the other demolished it, an easy and ignoble task. Even if this is so, what prevents leaving a chit, saying where you are going? And so on. Aziz detested ill-breeding, and made his pony caper. Farther away, or mine will start, out of sympathy, he wailed, revealing the true source of his irritation. It has been so rough and wild this afternoon. It spoiled some most valuable blossoms in the club garden, and had to be dragged back by 4 men, English ladies and gentlemen looking on, and the collector sahib himself taking a note. But, Dr. Aziz, I'll not take up your valuable time. This will not interest you, who have so many engagements and telegrams. I am just a poor old doctor who thought right to pay my respects when I was asked and where I was asked. Your absence, I may remark, drew commentaries. They can damn well comment. It is fine to be young. Damned well. Oh, very fine. Damn whom. I go or not as I please. Yet you promise me, and then fabricate this tale of a telegram. Go forward, Dapple. They went, and Aziz had a wild desire to make an enemy for life. He could do it so easily by galloping near them. He did it. Dapple bolted. He thundered back onto the Maidan. The glory of his play with the subaltern remained for a little. He galloped and swooped till he poured with sweat, and until he returned the pony to Hamidullah's stable, he felt the equal of any man. Once on his feet, he had creeping fears. Was he in bad odour with the powers that be? Had he offended the collector by absenting himself? Dr. Panalal was a person of no importance, yet was it wise to have quarrelled even with him? The complexion of his mind turned from human to political. He thought no longer, can I get on with people, but are they stronger than I? Breathing the prevalent miasma. At his home a chit was awaiting him, bearing the government stamp. It lay on his table like a high explosive which, at a touch, might blow his flimsy bungalow to bits. He was going to be cashiered because he had not turned up at the party. When he opened the note, it proved to be quite different. An invitation from Mr. Fielding, the principal of Government College, asking him to come to tea the day after tomorrow. His spirits revived with violence. They would have revived in any case, for he possessed a soul that could suffer but not stifle, and led a steady life beneath his mutability. But this invitation gave him particular joy, because Fielding had asked him to tea a month ago, and he had forgotten about it, never answered, never gone, just forgotten. And here came a second invitation, without a rebuke or even an allusion to his slip. Here was true courtesy, the civil deed that shows the good heart. And, snatching up his pen, he wrote an affectionate reply and hurried back for news to Hamidullah's. For he had never met the principal, and believed that the one serious gap in his life was going to be filled. He longed to know everything about the splendid fellow, his salary, preferences, anecdotes, how best one might please him. But Hamidullah was still out, and Mahmud Ali, who was in, would only make silly, rude jokes about the party. End of chapter 6.